Okay. See, Raju joined.
Now I can see once.
Okay, sounds good. There's Lorda. Who else was there? Parvin was there?
They were
She moved there.
I don't know whether actually they were attending or not.
Yeah, Shanjita and Parvin was there, but I don't know if they left because it's been like long
They-
school.
I know, Shanjita probably left. Parvin was still there. She might still try to log in.
Yeah, I don't know. But you
Okay.
didn't tell her to leave, am I right?
We can give her a quick call and see.
Yeah, no. She didn't write anything on the chat. Oh, no chat.
She's gonna join. Give it a few seconds. She should be in here. Meanwhile, you guys, I promise you, if you spend like an hour playing around with this code, you are gonna become an expert. And if you're an expert in this, you're gonna feel so much confident when you get to that point where you need to automate test cases. It's very, very important that you know the if statement and different kinds of loops. Sometimes one is better than the other, and other times you can use any one of them, whichever is easier for you. All right, Parvin is here. Now, where we were is we were going to run this and see what happens. So we got this loop around this whole thing. We put condition of 4. That means it's going to repeat 4 times regardless if you put a correct answer or not. That's what Raju was saying. So here I am in here. The code is asking me, put an input. So I'm going to go in here and say, Stein. So computer is going to take this Stein and go in here and compare this Stein, which is actual password, with expected password. And if it is correct, it's going to print out access granted. If it's wrong, it's going to print out access denied. So if I run this now, it did not. Why is that? That's not how it's supposed to work. Maybe because
Did we specify I that it is the number of attempt? Do we need to specify that?
I'm just thinking maybe my computer freaked out and I may need to reset the perspective and such. Java freaking out. Control statement, source, run this. Spread this out here. Reset the perspective and run it. Stein. There you go. Again, Eclipse is a free tool and it's not gonna work 100%, and you might be like, okay, you made a mistake, but always it's kind of like computer, sometimes freezes, you have to restart. over here in Eclipse, for you to restart, go to Windows, Perspective, and reset Perspective. That happens to work. Other times you may need to close this window and then restart back up. If you ask me why, it's industry standard. Any company you go to, you're going to find issues like that. They always resolve it like that. That's what the engineers do. The very first thing, they always try to close the program, reopen it, and then it starts working. Why does it do that? I don't know. But always know that it's not you. And you're not the only one who has to do that to fix things. That's how industry works. So here we got enter a password. I wrote Stein. It says warning, access denied. And then notice it's asking for that password again, which is what we wanted. We wanted it to ask for password. But what if I added a correct password this time? I use ABC123 and hit enter. It did say access granted, which also worked. It compared right here and access granted, but it's asking for the password again, because our condition of stopping right here does not incorporate whether I add a correct password or not. And I did not say when to stop it. Therefore, it is continuing to ask me over and over again. Now,
I have a question.
yes.
I am not clear actually one thing, that is the I, integer I, as because we have not, when you gave us the first lesson, you told that integer I equals to 0, and then we are giving the condition smaller than or equal to 10. That means we are putting the value 1 to 10 or 11, then actually it exits. We are giving it the entry and exit point. So, but here we are not putting any number. So how it can identify that it has a stop after 3 times, or it is less than 4? We are not putting any number. So we are not specifying I as any number.
Yes. Okay, I'll explain that.
But he
So,
add I++, so that adds up.
yeah, that is the answer for that, but I'll explain this here. So here is the I, okay? And here's the value for I. So when we initiate it right here, our value for I, it was 0. Agree?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what it does is it sets to 0, and first time, or every time, this for loop is going to go to the next thing and check, is I less than 0, less than 4? Is I less than 4 here? Answer comes out to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's true, it goes executes this statement right here. So it enters the password and gets that and do that, check that and print this and print this. And when it goes down here, he takes that I and change it to an increment of 2. Now the I became, increments by 1. Now the value of the I became a 1.
1.
Meaning
But actually,
this thing, I is 0, will never get executed after the first time. So this, forget about this equal to 0. This is no longer exist. It only exists the first time. That means now you have a cabinet and you have a I name on the cabinet, and that value first was 0, but now it's a 1. The value is 1. So the executor comes back here. He's going to do a comparison before he jumps in. So he's going to check, is 1 less than 4? Answer is true. He's going to print out that, do that, do that, do that. When he hits the end of this code block, he is going to execute this I++, so that I now is no longer 1, plus makes it a 2. And then he goes back up here. He skips this because this is a storage only and only executes first time. He's going to look at this here and do the comparison before he executes this code. He's going to ask himself, is 2 less than 4? Answer is true. Do it again. Increment it again. Now you got a 3. So over here, this comes out to be a true statement. Where I messed up, actually, you really need to use 3 right here, I think. I think I messed up with this one with another, but we're going to test this out to
You
see
could
if it
use
works.
int I equals to 1.
Or I equals to 1. You're correct, Raju. If I use 0 right here, then I really need to be using 3. If I use a 1 right here, then this
Then it
will
is
really
4.
works. Yeah. So actually this will repeat with the setup right now we have. It's going to repeat 4 times. So we're going to have to change the 0 to a 1 or this to a 3. But don't do that. Just always keep this to a 3. Don't add 1. Give this to a 3. So if you have it as a 0, and how many times you want to repeat and keep it as that same number, then you don't have to add or subtract anything at all. And it's going to work like that. Did that still clear up a little bit on how it's incrementing and how it's
Actually,
changing?
my question was not that. My question is that the int I equals to 0, it is the number of attempt, or it is in a given number that we are actually putting in?
It's not a given number. It's you set it up like this. You first
That means
started with
it is that number of attempt.
this is a counter. It will keep counting and storing and incrementing the 0 to a 1 and then a
I
2
see.
and then a
This is a
3.
counter, and the number we assign it will go after that number always.
Yes. So let's say if I can always change this number anytime, anywhere, meaning I can go in here and say in this line, I want to change this I to a 4. Okay. Immediately this value of this I will become a 4. And then this still increment next round it's going to become a 5. Next round it's a 6. But guess what? If I take this piece of code, if I cut this, put it right here, what's going to happen?
It will stop automatically. It will not run anything.
It will not run.
It will not give any option. Yes, now I'm clear. Actually, I was not sure whether it is actually given number that we are actually putting in. It's a counter. Now that is more appropriate, I think.
Yeah, so
now
take a look at this. If I run it, it's going to go and ask me once. And when it's asking me once, the value of the I is 0. So if I type in Stein, it's going to tell me access denied. And notice it did not ask me again because it executed this. And what did it do? It assigned the value of I, the number 4. It went back up with that number 4 right here. And with that 4, it's asking, is 4 less than 3? The statement came out to be false. Immediately, he skipped this and went to this area right here and did not ask me again. But if I were not to add this and just let this happen, now this happens like a mechanical thing. Every time the Java goes all the way down here, either you forcefully change it, it will automatically change it to a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5. So the for loop is kind of an automatic that you don't have to change anything and you just write in like that over there. It will do it at the end of the code. Other loops, you have to put it right here at the end of the code yourself. Does it have to be at the end of the code? No, you can experiment putting it right here. You may have a unique situation where you need to increment this I over here.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever have a need for it in my business? Never. Never. Do I have to increment this here? Never. Just leave it like that. Now, the problem with this is I can run this and say Stein. It will keep asking me 3 times. That's fine. Stein, Stein. No more. It doesn't let me type anymore. But if I also do correct password, it will still keep asking and begging me. Let's say if I do ABC 1, 2, 3 and hit enter, it asks me again. ABC 1, 2, 3. Access granted, but still keep asking me. So I need to do something to say, I'm done. Get out of this. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It matched. You heard the word break. Yes?
Break.
What you can do is you can come in here where it says, if actual password is equal to expected password, I want you to print this access granted and I want you to break it. You could say break right there. Okay. If you put the break right here, Java will go on the first try. It's going to go in here. If this is true, Java is going to go into this line, execute this, and then immediately execute break, and then never execute this, and no more coming back to loop, and we'll go back down here. Okay. Suppose, just for clarification, we print congratulations here, just to see when Java goes where. Sysout. You are a winner. You're a winner. So this is like the end of the program. If I run it right now, notice now that I added break, if I run it, it's asking for enter a password. If I add a wrong password, Stein, hit enter, it says warning access denied, asking for the password again, enter password. If I put in right password, ABC123, immediately if I hit enter, it's gonna execute this statement access granted, and then break, keep that, skip the loop, and come back and here and print, you are a winner. So here we go. Access granted, you are a winner. And it broke, took me out of this loop. Any question?
No.
Now, is there other ways to do this? Of course, there is no any combination you want to. Always look for the simplest code possible. The less line of code that you can do is better programmer you are. Now, one last thing to finish off. We did say after 3 tries, we wanted to say sorry, goodbye. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
So really, we need to, how do we do that? How do we do sorry, goodbye if it's a 3 try and not let this program even go here say you are a winner?
Oh my God, yeah.
The
A lot of code.
program will exit. You basically have to have a comparison, and maybe this loop is not going to work. You may need
So
to change
you
some
have to
things.
put default or something.
Default ways, it might work. I mean, you can try a different way, but here's what you can do. you can have right here another. Let me see how I want to approach this. The problem with this for loop is this I, the value of int I, is only recognizable inside this. See, if I go outside and I check this I, and I want to put in like 25 or 23, it does not recognize. If I hover over, it's going to say, I cannot be resolved to a variable because it doesn't know. It only knows it right here. So that's why this for loop for this is probably not going to be a good idea to go into that. But this whole thing can be done in another loop much better. Let's try that really quickly. So we're going to take the same idea. We're going to take this piece of the code, the body of the code, but we're going to put it in a do loop, do while loop. So I put int counter equal 0. And now that I have this counter outside the loop, it will be recognized everywhere. And then I can do. Why do? Because I do want to ask this one time at least. Okay, so I take this entire piece of code, copy it, and put it inside here. And then I finish it off with the while. And then I have this condition right here. So in this condition, in fact, I can even put in this. I can just say actual password dot equals expected password. I can take that condition, put it right in here. Okay. Now, if actual password is dot equals expected password, it's going, if this comes out to be true, it's going to repeat, keep repeating. But we don't want it to keep repeating if actual password is equal to expected password. What you need to do is put an exclamation mark in front of it to make it a not. So that's one modification you need to do. Take a look at this. It's throwing me an error telling me this actual password cannot be resolved because this actual password is getting created right here and only recognized inside. Outside of this is a different world. It doesn't recognize. You need to take this variable from here and take it outside and start it somewhere outside right here. So how do you fix that? You can take a recommendation. It says create local variable actual password. You can choose that first option. It will actually fix it for you. And it gave me object right here. Don't ignore that. It's just going to say string actual password right there. And because you created it right here, you don't need to have this string again. You delete that. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
A little tricky, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We need a break for today.
This is almost done, so I'll just wrap it up right here.
Yeah.
Here's what's happening. Down here, you're comparing actual password with dot equals to expected password. If this comes out to be true, this exclamation mark will flip it to a false. If that flips to a false, this will stop. This loop will completely stop and move to the next. Okay? So let's run this and see how this works. I'm going to block this part. Run it. And if I say Stein, It's asking again. I write Stein. Asking again, Stein. Stein. It continues. It doesn't stop. But if I put correct password, ABC, ABC123, and hit enter, it stopped and says you are a winner. But it's not stopping after 3. What I have to do is I have to add this counter increment right here. I have to say counter plus plus. Now it's going to increment. And then I have to go in here with this particular condition. I have to add another condition, and you can add more and more conditions here, as many you will like. I would add another condition saying drop it when it reaches 3 tries. So I would drop this, and you would put this either this AND symbol, add another condition, and you can say counter is less than 0. Sorry, 3.
Can you please enlarge the screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. With me so far? I am taking this 2 conditions right here. One is I want you to drop it if actual password matches expected password, but I need to make this into a false to drop it. So I put an exclamation to make this a false. And I want to chunk this into one condition, meaning another bracket around this so that the computer doesn't mess up with this piece. And it's also going to check to see if you already done 3 tries. So if counter keeps increasing and it's still less than 3, it's going to be true, meaning go and do it. Okay. But if not, then go ahead and drop it. So if I do that now and run it, let's see. Here's my thing. Stein, 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 and access denied. Jump to this part, whereas you are a winner. And it did stop me out of it. But if I wanted to run it with the correct password, I wanted to stop it immediately. ABC123. It stopped, it didn't ask me again and moved me out saying you are a winner.
But they didn't say warning sign, access denied.
Now we're going to add that. Now we're going to add that. So now what we're going to do is in here, we're going to put an if statement around this. So we're going to have another if saying if this counter is equal to or greater than 3 or greater than or equal to 3, whichever you want. Greater than or equal to 3, meaning you already done it 3 times. With me so far?
Yeah.
You've already tried it 3 times. Then we're just going to say, sorry, goodbye. Goodbye. But if not, if you have not tried it all 3 times, then you can say else. And if you put this piece of code right here, you're a winner. With this do while loop, you are able to add this counter that you can use this right here. But the for loop, if you look up, this int I is only recognized in here.
Inside the, yes.
Inside the loop, and you cannot even test it to see how many times and use it anywhere else. But because you did not declare this counter inside the do while loop, you did it outside. That means everybody recognizes, even inside and outside. So when you're using this counter right here, this whole thing understand what that counter is. Now let's run it and see if it works. So run. I'm going to say gibberish, enter. That's first try. Another first, second try, third try, and then now it says access denied,
Okay.
and then it says sorry, goodbye, and it doesn't even let me type anymore. It exited everything. But if I run this and say gibberish first time, no problem. Gibberish second time. Third time I put in the correct password, ABC123, hit enter, says access granted, you are a winner. It went into this part, this right here. Any questions?
What about that exclamation mark after a while?
So this exclamation mark, what it does is it takes this statement and makes it, it flips it. So understand this condition right here. You understand that if I take this piece out and counter less than 3, it will keep on going. It won't go back and say, okay, you've done it 3 times already and stop. It won't stop that. But there's an extra condition right here. It says actual password equals to expected password. So if this comes out to be true, meaning right here, when I said actual password equal to expected password, this came out to be true. I don't want this to be true. You see, if your condition is true, what happens? Your loop is gonna start again. We don't want this to ask again that enter a password. We don't want it to check this anymore. If this is already true, we want you to get out of it. But loop doesn't work that way. Loop works while this condition is true. Meaning, if this condition comes out to be true, he is going to keep on asking, keep on doing it, keep on doing it, keep on doing it. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring in this exclamation mark, which what it does is it creates a not relationship. So when you're going to read this, it's going to be while not actual password is equal to expect password. That means when they don't match. This is checking whether it matches. So this comes out as true when it matches. And this exclamation mark flipped this true into a false. False. When this is false, that means it's going to exit the while, exit the do loop, and then come back down here. This is a negative condition. It does take a while to understand. It took me quite a bit of practice to kind of get my head wrapped around it. Okay. We are going to do this more so later. You're going to see this tomorrow's class as well. So don't panic. Just hang in there. Just hang in there. It will take you a little while to wrap this head around that how this mechanism works. Any other questions?
No, not so far.
Okay. If you have the time, practice the homework that we have listed up there. If not, just play around with it. I recommend that open up and try to do some of these loops, see how it works, run it, get error, fix error, look at the notes. That's how you're going to strengthen yourself in coding this thing. So have a nice weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Can you post this one on the chat?
Yes, I'll
See you
do it right now.
tomorrow.
See ya.